Denver 7 Now is sponsored by Ferguson and BAC Appliance Center, the best in bath, kitchen, and lighting for your home.
I'm Ann Trujillo with the latest from Denver 7. No one likes living next to a construction site, right? Well, the people who live along the central I-70 project between I-25 and Colorado Boulevard say their neighborhood's in chaos. Planners say the end result will be worth it. The interstate will be lowered and a park will be above it. But that's still years away, 2022. In the meantime, neighbors say their homes are shaking. And as the work continues, the city of Denver is now looking into complaints about the ground moving. Denver 7's Liz Gilardi spoke to neighbors who say they've had enough.
Living next to I-70, you get used to some noise.
So it's like 3, 4 in the morning, and we obviously in our bedroom, we can hear the TV shaking. And so we wake up, we look out the window, we see that there's construction. And so we lay back down, but my son is the one who wakes up and he's like, "Mom, I think we're having an earthquake."
It wasn't an earthquake, just construction. Raquel Casillas had to explain that to her 8-year-old son.
The vibration is something that I didn't expect coming, though.
It was so bad, she worried things were going to start falling off the walls of her house.
We had to remove the TV from the wall, but our living room had shelves, with little knickknacks. That had to come down.
Raquel lives right next to the interstate in her grandmother's old house. It's where she wanted to raise her family, but no one is getting a lot of sleep nowadays.
Currently, the city does not have any standards around vibrations, so vibrations aren't regulated directly in the city and county of Denver right now.
The city of Denver's Department of Public Health and Environment is looking into it. Between now and the end of the year, they're studying other communities that have limits in place for vibrations and asking if the city should do the same.
And then we will also be responding to complaints about vibrations in that area to really do some investigating about the extent of them and understand what the impacts are on the people living in that community.
Raquel can tell you all about the impacts.
I think it's frustrating. I think the biggest issue that I have is that unless you're living through it, you have no idea what it truly is like.
And the company behind the project, Kiewit, told us vibration impacts can be part of construction. And they say they do try to keep that in mind and try to minimize the impact. Yet more trouble for Sequest, an aquarium in Southwest Plaza Mall. Documents sent to us show a mammal manager is facing a misdemeanor charge of animal cruelty over failing to provide care to a sloth. That sloth had burned itself on a heating lamp twice. The second time so badly it could hardly eat. Still, a vet was not called in to help. Complaints on the Littleton Aquarium go back years, and even back in May, the state suspended its license for many of the animals in its care. That sloth, by the way, now lives in Minnesota and is doing well. The DA's office says it will not pursue charges against a man who exposed himself at Cherry Creek Mall. While this photo taken by a little girl's mom is blurred, what's unclear is if he did it intentionally. Police have not arrested him, and prosecutors say there is no guarantee of a conviction. An arrest has been made following a shooting over a parking spot dispute in Lakewood. Police are charging Kyle Chaka in connection with the attack that put a man in the ICU over the weekend. That victim is expected to survive. We are back in the 90s, and that means red flag warnings are in effect and first responders are waiting for the next wildfire to break out. Or in the case of crews working the Sunrise Court fire in Glenwood Springs, just hoping the wind doesn't pick up and make an already exhausting job worse. That fire forced an entire neighborhood to evacuate this afternoon. No homes have burned. And then there's the Shawnee Peak fire, which has burned nearly 40 acres just east of Kenosha Pass. The flames are still miles away from homes. That fire, though, is still at 0% containment. And now from the First Alert Weather Center, here is a look at your forecast. We'll be in the 90s, even 82 with a chance of showers on Friday, and then getting hotter again as we get near Sunday and even Monday, the holiday, nice and hot at 95. Remember dodgeball? We all played it, but a recent study called the game a tool of oppression that should not be played in schools. Our Nicole Brady is going 360 on the opinions of this old school game.
Remember, dodgeball is a sport of violence, exclusion, and degradation.
Once a joke from a juvenile Vince Vaughn movie. Now the subject of a university study, dodgeball, a tool of oppression. Canadian researchers presented a report this summer saying dodgeball, even with a softball, promotes exploitation, marginalization, powerlessness, cultural imperialism, and violence.
So is there something about dodgeball that's more problematic than any other sport or game? We're going 360, hearing from metro area schools, a dodgeball league organizer, a psychologist, and 10-year-old Emily, who just jumped into her first ever dodgeball game in Denver.
We've been doing it now for a couple of years, and it's one of the fun games to run. It's great for teamwork. It's great for exercise.
Meet Play Chill organizes recreational matches for adults, but owner Mike Ross says there's no reason kids shouldn't also play dodgeball and reap all the same benefits of it.
Our matches are only about 45 minutes, but by the end of it, everybody's sweating, everybody's drenched, and had a good time.
Of course, in this friendly game, nobody's trying to hurt or humiliate anyone. That may not be the memory some people have of dodgeball in school. Metro State University professor and psychologist Sean Worthy has studied bullying in sports. He says any competition can bring out aggression, which may lead to bullying. And dodgeball does have some unique characteristics.
It's one of the few sports where individuals are targeted with something, with an object, right? You can choose teams that are, one side against the other side, and the other side may be people who are less desirable. And so when you really look at it, it is a sport where some of the elements of bullying can be involved.
Everett Middle School PE teacher Brad Hull has another problem with dodgeball, the elimination aspect.
And then when they get eliminated, they're just standing there.
He wants his students moving. In his classes, they learn the value of physical fitness and positive competition.
Instead of your 11-on-11 soccer game, I typically do 3-on-3 or at most 4-on-4. I also implement modified rules, so in order for a student to score, everyone on your team has to get a pass. So that way it promotes teamwork and cooperation with students.
There's no dodgeball at Everett Middle School, and it turns out few metro area schools allow it anymore because it's not approved by the Society of Health and Physical Educators. Denver Public Schools says dodgeball is an activity in which the sole purpose is to eliminate players by hitting them with an object, which is not conducive to a safe, social, emotional environment for students. So back to Emily. She obviously was having fun playing dodgeball, taking some playful shots at her cousins, but it sounds like in her school, they've learned some things about sportsmanship and friendship.
I would have to say if someone's lonely, if it's a new kid, at least reach out and ask if they want to play or if they want to friend.
A good lesson to remember whatever the game. Nicole Brady, Denver 7.
And there are plenty of perspectives on this story. We want to hear what you have to say. Leave us a message on the Denver 7 Facebook page, or you can email us 360@thedenverchannel.com. This has been your Denver 7 On Demand update. Thank you so much for joining us. And check back here later tonight for another update and download the Denver 7 app for breaking news and alerts. I'm Ann Trujillo.